Which is why I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Like just spend one day, like the minister for the ministry who overlooks hawker centers, spend one day in hawker center. You go through getting a BTO with your wife. Spend one day in like a 3-room, 1 month in a 3-room flat.
Sounds like you're advocating for the Prime Minister to become a YouTuber. Do 30-day challenges.
Technically, he already is an influencer. You look at his videos on TikTok and all. Before the next episode of the Yalabot podcast, we have got a message from Folklory about words of wisdom. This is our series of in-depth interviews with 60 Singaporeans aged 60 and above to capture their life lessons as podcasts. This will be part of Singapore's SG60 celebrations next year and will celebrate their amazing lives, perspectives, and wisdom for future generations. But we need your help. If you know a Singaporean above 60 with an unforgettable life story, you can nominate them to be interviewed and have their words of wisdom turned into a folklory. So head on over to folklory.com/words of wisdom or click on the link in our bio to send us your nominations. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How has the week been, man?
Okay. Are you back in the swing of things? No,
I think I am.
After your wellness retreat.
With the boys.
With the boys.
Yeah. Frowned upon by some listeners on the last podcast.
I'm glad people saw through the ruse that you're trying to pull.
Hey, please lah. There were enough people who saw through the ruse of the person who commented that thought they were seeing. Which is just assuming that we were just up to no good. That, it was a one-sided decision between me and my wife.
Yeah.
No lah.
So, for context, if you go on our YouTube page of the last podcast, people were already commenting that this is what happens when you give more parental leave to fathers. They'll do what Harish did, go out with the boys to Bali for a trip
play
and things
games,
like that. Play video games, slack off. They're not actually going to be parents. So there's a very... I thought it was quite cool that someone actually took the topic we're talking about and then related it to a very specific example of what you were doing.
Yeah, you thought it was cool. Given that you took a screenshot and sent it to me with, I can only imagine a very gleeful face.
No.
But there were people there was one, so far it was one comment.
Yeah.
And there was someone else who rebutted it. But it did feel a bit like, whoa, that's a big assumption, man.
Personal
That's
attack.
a big assumption. Harish and his pals.
Yeah,
Harish with an I when he's actually an E. So it was just
activities like Harish.
Activities.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
such an
funny.
assumption.
Yeah.
But a comment still appreciated. So it was just funny lah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
But so you're back in the groove.
Back in the groove, man.
Things, back to life in Singapore.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I guess, how everyone's feeling about after the rousing National Day rally as well, right? Back to the grind.
Yeah.
Back to, looking at what government and all are doing again.
Yeah, the POFMAS, left, right, POFMA. Yeah.
Rising prices everywhere again. That's everything we're talking about today. So it tells you that life is back to normal.
I've seen even some people post like they're coming off the high from the National Day rally.
Yeah.
Which is a bit like, shit, really?
Yeah.
Because, I think generally it was a well-received National Day rally. It was quite, like, come on, we got this and all. But like what you said,
Yeah.
Now, you just open up the newspapers, you just see more of the same.
Yeah, correct. But before we jump to more of the same, what do we want to tell people?
That if you're new to the podcast or if you've been listening for a while but have not yet subscribed or followed us on the platform you're listening to us at right now, please do so. Just hit the green button on Spotify, hit the red button on YouTube, leave us a review on Spotify. And just share this with your friends, as well as Instagram and TikTok. We have pages there as well, where we upload little extracts. It's all just to tell the algorithm that you enjoy our content so you can see more of it.
Yeah.
And if you want to work with us, what should they do, Terrence?
Definitely go to ministryoffunny.com. That's where you can contact us. You can see TV shows we've done, our portfolio, and even, public speaking engagements, things like that. So there's a lot of ways to work with us. So go to ministryoffunny.com and reach out to us.
All right, man. Cool. Shall we jump into it?
Yeah. Run into the topic.
Run into it. So basically, on the morning of 28th August, Wednesday, there was a slew of articles talking about the new PM Wong's visit to the BMTC on Pulau Tekong on the morning of Tuesday, August 27. And BMTC stands for Basic Military Training Center, which is the first 3 months that anyone or who goes to NS has to go for. And I think now, I know there's still BMT happening at the individual units. Not all BMT, a lot of BMT happens on Pulau Tekong. But some of the active units have their own BMT, right?
Yeah.
The mono intake.
They call it mono intake.
Yeah, mono intake. But by and large, basic military training happens on Pulau Tekong. I did my BMT there. You?
Yeah.
You did as well. So, yeah, there was a lot of articles about PM Wong. He paid a visit and interacted with 420 recruits. He went for a run. He spoke to them. He, did some push-ups with them. And he also had some comments about, what NS means to them, what NS means to society, and what NS means to Singaporeans, and why it's so important.
Yeah.
So, Terence, when you saw this, right, when you saw photos, did you just stand up and put your hand on your heart and say the pledge?
No, I didn't. But it was quite surprising. Because like you said, we just saw him at the NDR. Then not long after the NDR, last week, he did a 100-day press conference just to recap what they've been doing. And then now he's on Pulau Tekong having this big photo opportunity running with recruits.
Yeah.
I can't remember during our days in BMT or that, did the Prime Minister, like Lee Hsien Loong, come down to run with you while you were there?
Not that I recall.
Yeah. Was it PM Lee?
No, it wasn't PM Lee.
Oh, it was
Goh Chok Tong.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't remember Goh Chok Tong running with us in BMT or anything like that. So quite a big deal, I guess, for BMT to be, highlighted like this. In fact, I don't remember Lee Hsien Loong ever doing this, if anything. Yeah. So what do you feel when you saw this news as well?
I mean, I'm like, okay, it's cool. I think when I saw the TikTok video on PM Wong's TikTok account, I was like, wow, he used a Rocky tune for running. I was like, oh,
yeah.
That Rocky tune is iconic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of run thing, I think, okay, you do it, but and what he was saying about, okay, like NS, pushing, you push yourself, there's grit, which, I mean, I do agree that it trains certain parts of your character. But I think there was one part he said, wait, let me find it. He said, like, when I looked at the cadets, I could see their conviction and all. I'm like, really? Was it conviction or just that lack of choice? So PM Wong described a strong sense of conviction in the recruits, saying he could see that they are prepared to step forward, to train hard and to do their part now to defend Singapore and to keep Singapore safe. Because I think everyone, especially in the world of today, can recognize that a country needs to have their own defense force, and citizens need to play their part. But when you say you can look at them and see the strong sense of conviction, then I'm like, I don't know. That felt a bit like forced.
Okay, but that's you just generally
being a cynic.
Being a cynic. Like you mentioned before that you don't like it when politicians do like epic TikTok videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And if there's anything, is there anything that's more epic than like running with a bunch of recruits on BMT?
Terence, I can think of a lot more things that are epic than that.
I love the fact that the newspapers even highlighted that he ran 1.8 kilometers. It wasn't just like a 200-meter like short jog that he did. He actually ran 1.8 kilometers, which is not 2.4, the official test, but it's still more than the 1.6 that, primary school, I think last time primary school.
Oh, so you're saying it have to be more than primary school?
So still not bad, not bad.
Yeah. But I am looking at it from and I know there's a lot of talk on Reddit, especially about this being wayang. So I don't know about that, but it felt like, okay, interesting.
But in that sense, they say wayang, but 1.8 kilometers is still like, it's a decent jog.
Yeah.
And you're doing it alongside recruits who don't even have the right to vote in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
So in some way, it's not like he's doing it for their
vote. Their parents' votes.
Yeah, their parents' vote.
You see the photo, you can see all their faces, no?
Yeah, I know. But and I liked it that running alongside him in a couple of the videos and all, you can see that it's female recruits as well. Right? And not always like the tallest, best looking soldiers or whatnot, right? So in some sense, like you say, it's wayang, but at the same time, it's isn't the job essentially of the Prime Minister is to show face and this kind of things and try and boost morale by running together with them and things like that. Isn't that part of his job scope?
Yeah, wait, I just want to perform you. You said I said Wayang.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's Wayang.
You did say okay.
No, I didn't say Wayang.
Privately, you
I said,
to me,
no, I never said, hey,
hand on your heart.
I never say that I think it's Wayang. I said there are people saying it's Wayang.
Okay.
And that is what I wanted to talk through with you, Terence.
Okay.
Anyhow,
Yes.
just say you say it's Wayang. Or,
Yeah,
no, I never say it's Wayang. Because I do, on a certain comments were like, why is he doing this? He should be spending his time rolling out more benefits for NSFs. And some people say he has never done this before, why do it now? But then, then there's always going to be a first time, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather he not do this? I don't know, you can say it's Wayang, but I also feel like, okay lah, it's more than any PM has done before, right? I think.
Yeah.
So, okay lah, it's not a bad thing lah. Yeah.
Yeah. But so, I know you have this special ability. You're like the Galileo of men's physiques. You're able to discern a lot about how fit they are, even when they're wearing clothes, right? So how fit is our Prime Minister Lawrence Wong?
He looks okay. The fact that he was running and still damn smiley, means
Got his
that
breath,
he was kind of talking and all. So I think I would say his fitness definitely to run 1.8k as you get older you realize actually it's not the easiest also lah.
Yeah.
I don't know how often he runs, but now you're making me sound like a fucking superficial piece of shit, no you?
No. I think it's worth looking at, right? Because these things actually do matter, right?
Yeah.
They represent the health of your leadership and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
In some sense, him running shows, he's in good health, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
young. You could contrast that with what was going on with the presidential elections in the US. Trump and Biden at one point, you could barely imagine them imagine on stage and things, But this is a prime minister who's taking a jog with 18-year-olds around,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
His hair is still in place.
Smiling.
He's dressed up in PT attire and things like that,
Yeah.
So you can imagine that this also is sending a signal to the world that our Prime Minister is young and youthful and healthy and everything as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's more than just about wayanging about NS, but also say something about how dynamic the 4G leadership can be, right? Yeah.
I guess on the spectrum, you have of fitness, you have Joe Biden, and then you have Zelensky, who's he's in war every day.
Yeah.
But I agree that showing that he can actually run. I don't think I've ever seen Joe Biden or Donald Trump run.
I think just over the weekend there was a photo of Joe Biden topless on holiday, and he looks like a 80-year-old person on holiday, yeah. And Trump, everyone knows, has very unhealthy eating habits and stuff like that. So that one is a given already,
Yeah. So then, would you rather he have run differently or not done this or what?
Not so much that but I did, because this barrage of media attention on him at BMT came very suddenly, right? Over just yesterday. And just off the back of a National Day rally where everyone were discussing a lot of topics like parental leave, the job seeker benefits and all that. It just made me question, should we also start thinking about national service and how do we better treat, the welfare of our soldiers? Not necessarily during national service, not even necessarily about their pay and things like that, but after national service, right? Because you got to admit that when the men come out from national service, they are 2 years, behind their peers around the world, and even the women as well, right? And there's always a lot of discontent about that, but a lot of times people have said that it's balanced out by the difference in pay packages for men and women in working society as well. But actually, I'm more concerned about the transition from military life back to civilian life. That always
reintegration.
Yeah, reintegration. That always takes a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
Having gone through it ourselves and all. So I don't know. Maybe more things could be offered for career counselling or things like that for national service. For NS men, right? Especially as they come out of 2 years of national service.
But Terence, they got conviction, Terence. They are doing this out of their own will.
Correct,
so then they have to deal with the reintegration themselves.
I mean, that's what people say in the old days. You don't have to care so much about how they do it. But I think if we're looking holistically at how to make our workforce more productive and make our young people more competitive compared to foreigners coming in to work here, right? Then you got to look at that crucial period, that transition period, and see how you can help national servicemen better integrate into society. And I'm coming from an angle that how you hear even in the presidential debates and all that going on in the US now, they talk about how you treat your veterans. Obviously, Singapore soldiers are not like veterans in that way who have gone to war and returned back with a missing limb and all. But there's this recognition that if for anyone who has served, in the military, you have to respect that and you have to help them along the way, whether it's, give them education, give them free education or other things, perks like that really reflect what their service is to the country. And we're not talking about one-off perks like the, SAF topping out your CPF and stuff like that, right? I think money is just one part, but the other part is like other aspects of reintegrating back into society, education, higher education, and other things like that.
Maybe that was what felt like, how come that's not spoken about? And I mean, on that note, it is, making it seem like national service is something that, is a net benefit for every male Singaporean. It is our duty, and Singapore depends on it, which, I mean, yes, certain parts of it are true, but just making it seem like, people go in dying to serve, this desperate to serve, that maybe felt a bit like, but I mean, a lot of people are doing this because they got no choice. Right? So we do it, but don't make it seem like we are fucking dying to do this,
If anything, I would say he ran with recruits, right? But these are recruits from the typical BMT company. I would love to see him run with the obese company and all that kind of thing, right? And then show that, it's really more inclusive, and no matter your shape or size, you can contribute to Singapore society.
But then the
photo op wouldn't be as nice, right?
No, but then there's also the same narrative, right? Regardless of your shape or size, you can still contribute to Singapore. The assumption that we are supposed to feel better by going to NS because we're doing our part for Singapore. I mean, it's to some extent yes, but to some extent also not acknowledging that, okay, this is forced upon every male Singaporean.
Correct.
And making it seem like as though it's like, it's going to train your character, it's good for you and all. Yes, it might be good, but it's like, then you almost kind of belittle the fact that, you're using 2 years of your prime life for this because you have no choice. And that one, I don't know how to strike that balance, but it feels like just, saying that this is the best thing that could ever happen to you when you're 18. Of course, paraphrasing, felt a bit like, really?
So if you were a recruit at BMT or that, you wouldn't want the Prime Minister to come in?
Oh no, I think it's still good. I think again, you fucking
asking you.
No. No, I think it's good, and I think it's good that he went there to run, and I hope that he does more of these kind of things with people from what you say, different demographics, not just within army or BMT, but outside as well. But I think the messaging or what is said is important, Because the National Day rally, I think why it was kind of uplifting, because it felt like, the maybe the way he said it or the things he said and the new policies announced, for example, the parental leave, that has been a big issue, the stress of bringing up kids. He spoke in a way that felt like, oh shit, this guy's listening. And then boom, a new policy. Then almost feel like, oh, okay, then we are people making all this noise, it's not going unheard. But in this case, maybe it's not the right forum to also say, but just like what you said, acknowledging the fact that, these 2 years of our life in a world that is more mobile than ever, more international than ever, having someone be anchored down for 2 years with no choice of their own, it is the opportunity cost is even higher. So that felt a bit like, okay. I mean, maybe then I think I saw someone comment also that if he wears FBO and goes on a 12K route march, wow, that one confirm no problem one. No wayang, no nothing. This guy means it
That was my my follow up thing also I would have loved to see him wear
camo,
long pole,
spend the night outfield.
I think spend the night a bit much, don't need but like what you said, go for a route march. Route march is painful, right? It's not painful in the physical painful way. It's just logistically it's such a headache, and and walking with the helmet on your head and all that is a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So that's the one part I always hate about going back to reservists, the route march. Yeah.
Actually, given that, I think if you see someone go through that, you know that, okay, this person is, playing ball.
Yeah.
I would imagine even if you look at it from a pure PR angle, why not have the PM or other ministers do that? Come for a run, yes. You might have some detractors who say, oh, yeah, this is wayang, but okay lah. Like at the end of the day, it'll be like one day, maybe a few days to recover, right? But the benefit you get from that, right, is fucking... If I saw that, I'll be like, okay, like, that's not wayang. It is generally an unpleasant experience if you're not prepared. But this guy did it.
But at the same time, he's also... I think, I believe, based on his age, he's also done with his national service obligations, right? So technically, it's offense to continue wearing your uniform.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to dispose of it after you're done with NS and all, you see? And,
then wear something else lah.
He's the commander-in-chief, right, of the SAF, which, but it's a civilian... it's a civilian rank, you're not required to wear the uniform. So if he did wear the uniform and all, it'd be cosplaying, if anything.
Yeah.
Right?
And I know probably some people listening out there are saying, he's the Prime Minister of Singapore. Like, you want him to waste one whole day doing this? I'm not saying it's the best idea, but I'm just saying the PR you will get from that is actually quite monumental, quite significant.
Yeah.
So if you think about ROI in terms of convincing people or public sentiment, it can do a lot. Which is why I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Just spend one day, the minister for the ministry who overlooks hawker centers, spend one day in hawker center. You go through getting a BTO with your wife. Spend one day in a 3-room, 1 month in a 3-room flat. I think we should have more of this kind of secondments, right? You have secondments with different officers, but secondments with different parts of Singapore, different demographics.
Sounds like you're advocating for the Prime Minister to become a YouTuber. Do 30-day challenges.
Technically, he already is an influencer. You look at his videos on TikTok and all. 30-day challenge.
30-day challenge. I lived in a BTO for 1 month.
And let me share with you my experience.
Yeah.
Yo, man, if he does that, how to complain, man?
Yeah. If anyone listening in Lawrence Wong's office, you want us to help you organize
this your elections run, right?
YouTube videos that will help you do these challenges.
Yeah, just come up with a series of 30-day challenges. You can spread it out amongst the different ministers, and for opposition also, you spend 30 days doing this. Then you're really walking the ground. You're not just walking around every Monday, Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m.
Correct.
You are walking the ground every day.
Yeah, and we've done it before. We've been, you've been an Uber driver for 48 hours
non-stop.
Yeah, things like that. So we can do these challenges. Maybe not 30 days, even 48 hours would be cool.
Yeah, but even then, just do something where it makes people go like, wow, this guy, not just a 1.8 kilometer run, full.
To quote Michelle Obama, do something.
That's her new thing, is it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Do something. Yeah.
Then, his team will be really doing something. He's run more with the BMT recruits than any PM before.
But like you said, I think running is easy because you can, anyone can put on shoes and shirt and pants and run. But you put on full battle order, it's another thing. It's a whole different ball game, man.
And just the visual, right? I think it was the Canadian defense minister who... No, wait, Jordanian minister who's a fighter jet pilot. Then there's a picture of him with his Air Force. Wow, you look at it, you're like, wow, this guy.
Badass.
Badass. But yeah, so so for you, not wayang.
I think there's a lot more things that he could do that would wayang also, but would be much easier.
Yeah.
Even just taking the fast craft to BMT already, I get a headache every time I go near there. Just the aura of that place gives me a headache already. So, okay lah, kudos this round going for a run with recruits.
Yeah, I don't think it's wayang.
Yeah, I don't think it's wayang. I think it's quite even if it's a wayang, it's a very grand wayang, right? And you got to give it for a grand wayang, right?
Yeah, the photo, that whole stretch, they probably planned the route where you can get maximum number of people in one shot.
Yeah.
Looking.
Yeah.
Maybe next time also just let them run at their own timing.
You know, 2.4 kind of thing.
No, as in because now Lawrence Wong is in front, right? I'm guessing the directive was nobody overtake.
Yeah.
You all don't fucking come and run past him. But just open the gates.
Yeah.
But yeah lah.
Cool.
Cool.
But yeah. But as you mentioned earlier, we've gone back to regular programming
Mm,
and talking about the things that affect the everyday Singaporeans day to day, right?
mm,
So recently, another piece of news came out that has riled up Singaporeans
mm,
to do literally their bread and butter issues, right?
mm.
So what is this news?
So I mean, it's around a change that was apparently done within the Toastbox franchise
Mm.
on July 31st. But it's more recently, or at least over the past few weeks, where more and more photos have surfaced about their pricing.
Mhm.
So apparently their latest hike happened, July 31st. And a spokesperson basically said, due to rising ingredient and operating costs, we have implemented a price adjustment with effect from July 31st, 2024. This decision was not made lightly as we understand the implication and impact of these changes. However, these revisions are necessary for us to adapt to the current economic landscape while maintaining our unwavering commitment to providing quality products and dining experiences.
Yeah.
So, I mean, before we go into the nitty-gritties of that, like how often do you patronize Toastbox?
Maybe once or a week or something like that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, for me also, like, even though a few years ago, I remember when they had that whole soya bean saga with Bread Talk, right? It was Bread Talk.
I think it was Bread Talk.
Yeah, I was like, you know what?
It's the same parent company as
same
Toastbox.
parent company. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to patronize Bread Talk and Toastbox anymore. But then there are some places where, in certain malls where maybe there used to be Yakun or Toastbox, there's only Toastbox.
Yeah.
And that is the only place where you can get your good old cup of kopi or teh. Then I went back to patronizing Toastbox.
Yeah.
And now I would say about the same time, once a week or so.
Yeah.
And generally, like, I mean, their stuff is nice. The tuna sandwich at certain Toastbox, fucking great.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know why they have like this menu, these tuna sandwiches, which they don't show on the board, but for certain outlets, you ask and it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's quite a nice thing. But I think whenever I see people post something about the prices of Toastbox, it does hit me like, hey, shit. Actually, Toastbox is a lot more expensive than it used to be. Right, and it's been slowly creeping up. They said their last hike was July 31st, but every time when I'm waiting in the queue and I'm looking, I'm like, oh shit, did iced kopi tend to be like almost $4? Because now it's like $3 plus, right?
Yeah.
And I recall previously it was maybe 180, 190. I don't know how far that was back.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, when they announced this, I was like, okay. Can see their prices are increasing. But what do you like? Have you also been noticing the price increasing, or is it just like, you know what? That's the world these days, man.
Yeah, the price of everything is going up, but I think the big threshold for a lot of people is $5, right? The idea was that about $5 you could get a set, right?
Yeah.
And in recent times, even McDonald's has brought back their $5 saver meals, whatever you call them, right?
Yeah.
Which harken back to even my secondary school days, like
and
$5.
Singapore also, right? Singapore.
Singapore, yeah. So there are certain meals you can still get for $5, and I think nowadays you patronize even a hawker center and all that. Generally, about $5 will get you a meal, right? Sometimes you need more, but $5 you can find something, right? So I think for a lot of people, $5 is that threshold, and Toastbox has basically soared past that threshold where a meal costs about $7 plus.
That's
really.
a set lah.
But
if you talk about the chicken curry and laksa, that's beyond 10.
Yeah, it goes
beyond
12. Yeah, $12, $13 already. So that's where I think, the perception is that, for a company that essentially even names itself after toast, right? And toast, the Kaya Toast set is the hallmark product. Seems like the average price of everything there is way beyond like the $5 threshold already, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's shocking to people.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also some articles online from 2023 January where apparently someone posted like the prices of things before and after the 1% GST increase.
Yeah.
Which moved from 7 to 8, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, certain things, and this picture proof, certain things like the luncheon meat and egg sandwich went from $6.90 to $9.20. And Toastbox also put out a statement back then saying that, it's also due to rising operating costs. And I mean, it just feels like when you look at it in totality, Toastbox prices have been going up a lot and quite often. To the point that now you look at it, I mean, nowadays, even when I don't usually buy sets from Toastbox anymore.
Do you? Yeah. When I go, I do buy the set.
You do buy a set because part of it is like, wait, shit, a set is like $6, $6.80, Then I will just get a kopi or teh a la carte.
Yeah.
So it does feel the prices are increasing. But the thing is, are we being too critical of Toastbox because there is this romantic sentiment like what you said? It stems from toast kaya toast, which is something you can still get at coffee shops like hawker centers for a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
You think we got double standards,
Maybe a little bit in the sense that you got to remember now Toastbox is open in places like MBS already. It's frequented by tourists. Tourists see eating toast at Toastbox or Ya Kun as a quintessential Singaporean experience, right? So the tourists are willing to pay that kind of prices, or even more for that experience, because relative to what you would pay for a croissant in Paris or something like that, it's still relatively affordable that way, right? When you compare vis-a-vis like what the must-eats are in other countries, right? So that's what Toastbox and Ya Kun are as brands already. They're not even like geographically restricted to Singapore. I think they're all over the world already, right? So it's kind of a brand name that you pay for. Remember the Old Chunky Curry Puff in London?
Yeah.
What people are paying for that Old Chunky Curry Puff?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is basically Toastbox recognizing that they have built up this brand around the world as well, and people come to eat their stuff. Travelers, tourists also come and want to eat their stuff, and they're willing to pay for it. So why do they need to keep prices low? That's not part of their mandate, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I agree that that they have a right to. I mean, they have a right to do whatever they want as a business, right? But they've made their calculations and they decided that the locals who are complaining about the high prices, that's not as big a priority as us squeezing more out from the tourist dollar.
And that's not wrong, right? I also do feel like, even when I think, I'm like, oh shit, so expensive like this. I remember even just a few years ago when we were writing for our TV show, the terrorist one, where I would spend a lot of time writing is a Toastbox.
Yeah.
There was a Toastbox near my house and I'm like, wow, this feels like, like I'm in my like an icon of Singapore, kopi, writing a show set in Singapore. It just felt like very romantic.
Yeah.
But at this point, you can't fault them. I think it's something that we kind of have to accept as an inevitability. That everything will eventually go up if they haven't already. And I think even to hawker food, right?
Yeah.
I think in a few years' time, the standard hawker meal, which already is the case, is a lot more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine from Toastbox perspective, right? People are going to Starbucks or all these cafes and paying like $5, $6, $7,
yeah.
$8 for a latte.
$7 minimum, yeah.
Yeah. And that one also has gone up. The one thing that I think still, I always feel heartened by is like Starbucks brewed coffee, right? It's still like $3.90 or $3.80.
Oh, really? Still that low?
Still that low.
Okay.
Like, I think. Or maybe
I haven't frequented in a while. So,
because you're on you're off coffee.
Yeah, I'm off coffee.
You just wanted me to say right? I haven't frequented Starbucks for a while. Oh, why, Terence? Because I'm better than coffee.
No. But when I go, I drink the matcha latte or whatever.
Right?
It's very expensive. It's $7, $8. Yeah, but you're essentially, I see it as you're paying for the right to sit there and use their facilities.
Yeah, so probably Toastbox also. I don't think Toastbox has Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's why they say we won't charge you $7 for tea.
Correct.
You got no Wi-Fi. You got the chairs are also smaller.
But the other
the
chairs are very uncomfortable at Toastbox. So I'm very surprised to hear that you actually sit there for long periods and do
No, but I have to sit with one leg in and one leg around the table.
Correct. It's almost like the tables are deliberately so narrow that you cannot man spread if you want to sit in.
Yeah, correct. So I have to find a way to man spread.
Yeah. So for guys like me who have very big thighs, it's really uncomfortable to sit in Toastbox for long periods.
Correct.
And then the seat itself is a stool. It's not really a chair.
Yeah. Certain ones, they have places where you can lean. But I'm not a big guy. So I think it can, if I was a bigger guy or something, it sucks. And even, are their cups very difficult to hold? Are they the ones?
I usually buy takeout, so
you buy takeout. Yeah. I think sometimes the cups can be. But basically you're not paying for the same comfort as like Starbucks or like a fancy cafe. But the prices of a teh is like still not $7 or $6. But I can imagine from their perspective, ultimately they are playing in the same field, right? Because like what you said, they're opening up at locations that a lot of these cafes operate in.
Yeah,
it might not be along East Coast Road, but for them is that if people are willing to shell out $7, $8 for coffee, bubble tea, bubble tea also is like how much? Not cheap, right?
Not cheap.
So then is only going to trend upwards.
The only thing I would say is that I think the communication here wasn't great. Sounded very almost like government, in terms of talking about raising GST.
Hard decision.
Oh,
we just want to make this amount of profit. This amount of profit.
Can buy GCB, cannot buy GCB. There's a difference in the price. So I think any for-profit company that uses this kind of language, is it's not nice, right? It just it feels like you're trying to gaslight your own customer. So because there are where Toastbox can be praised, I also want to praise them. Where I think I've talked about Bras Basah Complex. I think Toastbox was the one that sort of created an experience where they took an old music bookshop and then they embedded a Toastbox within it and kept some of the facade of music shop and the experience is a bit different from other Toastboxes. So to me, it's like, that's quite fun. You're having Kaya Toast in quite a unique Singaporean
and the Toastbox
experience.
is very nice.
It's a nice.
I went there a few weeks ago.
I like it when they do experiences like that, as opposed to just every Toastbox is the same, right? Because that's what Starbucks sometimes feels like, where they differ from location to location, but most of the time it's just the same. Whereas when there's a bit of variety, a bit of personality in each Toastbox, I actually would prefer that. And I would rather that they embark on something like that where they rejuvenate the actual environment and how the comfort of the customers, and then they raise prices because of that, as opposed to they raise prices because of material costs and.
But then, what do you expect them to say? We want there to be more, soul in our Toastbox. That's why you have to pay.
We want.
You would accept that?
I'd rather that they explicitly lay out plans to enhance the customer experience. Here's a roadmap for what we plan to do, and all that. There's rising material costs. I got no choice but I need to make more money. That kind of thing. It just doesn't sound good for any business to say that, right?
But I think the converse, if they went down the approach of saying, we want to revitalize the Toastbox customer experience, people are like, fuck, we don't care about that. We just want low price coffee and tea.
Correct, but you go to the MBS Toastbox, it is more expensive than a regular Toastbox, right? And in some sense, you are paying for the right to sit there at MBS also, right? So I think consumers these days can understand if there's a Toastbox where it's the cost is at a certain level. Then there's Toastbox Plus, right?
Toastbox.
It's like HDB Prime Plus and all that kind of thing.
Starbucks and Starbucks Reserve. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe it's time for Toastbox to think about that kind of thing where they enhance the experience and they charge that tourist price. But people know what they're paying for. And then there's this tier that is really just for, the everyday office worker that just wants to get a
Toast Lounge.
Toast Lounge.
You got Toastbox, Toast Lounge.
What's a higher end box called?
Toast Container.
Toast.
Toast Tupperware.
Yeah.
No, but actually, that different because. Yeah, maybe. So I feel like just as it's alone, we want to revitalize the customer experience. I think that would be a tough sell. But if there's this different acknowledgement that we want to elevate the customer experience with this new tier, of course, starting a supplementary brand is always going to be hard. But I think first of all, increasing prices is never going to be easy, right? There's always going to be pushback. But this one, it feels like it's very significant increases.
Yeah,
and the way you say it also is fuck decision not made lightly.
Yeah, and twice over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, twice. At least twice. At least
twice. And all the discussion about profiteering during GST increase. This is the kind of thing that people didn't want to see, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to see their favorite businesses or their favorite F&B outlets increase prices more than once because GST prices also went up. GST went up also.
Yeah. But actually, I like the idea of the Toast Box and
Toast Lounge.
Toast Lounge.
Oh, Toast Lounge.
Because some of the photos, the ones at Wheelock and all, you can feel this is not like a coffee shop. It's almost more like an eatery. Right? Whereas some places where you have Toast Box in the more heartland areas, you keep it Toast Box.
Toast Box,
Toast Lounge.
Yeah, Toast Lounge.
Fucking Toast Lounge.
But we're always doling out free advice, business advice to all these businesses.
Yeah.
And beyond just the listeners, I think all these businesses, they should acknowledge that this is valuable and
free advice, man. If we see a Toast Lounge come out, I tell you, we're gonna go after you. Okay. Toast Lounge.
It started here first, Toast Lounge.
Toast Lounge, Toasty, and all. So much to play with.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those boxes. And I mean, Ya-Kun, in fact, I feel for better or worse, they tend to be the same as they used to be. I don't know about the prices. I think prices have also gone up.
They've gone up, yeah.
They've gone up also, right?
Yeah.
But maybe because they are more in the background.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question to ask. How come Ya-Kun doesn't get the same flag as Toastbox seems to get for price increases?
Yeah. Because Ya-Kun prices, I can't imagine it being stayed the same. But Ya-Kun in general, it feels like the more like, I'm just going to do my thing. I don't need to be flashy. Even their decor is a bit like depressing sometimes. Whereas Toastbox is, like bright and glass and like, you rarely see Ya-Kun on like the first floor. It's always in the basement. Some corner, people just come there and sit and drink by themselves, don't look at each other. Whereas Toastbox is the flashier one.
Maybe. Yeah. And because it's linked to, the Bread Talk Group
and all that.
Everyone knows Bread Talk Group is huge now and they own like real estate. And
the founder has a GCB.
They put a Toastbox like right in the front and center of every property that they
have their own building. Bread Talk building, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So easy target also easier target, yeah.
Correct, easier target. Yeah, I mean, interesting. So I'm just looking at the Toastbox, Kaya Toast menu. So, I mean, I think it's similar actually.
Yeah. So, question is, will you still go back to Toastbox after knowing everything you know?
I mean, in general, between a Toastbox and Ya-Kun, I will always tend to go to Ya-Kun. But in places where there's no other options, I might still go to Toastbox.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, if I want a coffee, sometimes, I don't know, depending on mood, I might want a flat white, I might want like a local kopi. But then sometimes I see the flat white prices also. I'm not paying $7 for this, So then, Toastbox.
Yeah. I would still support like going to Toastbox or Ya-Kun.
Yeah.
Compared to like some,
Luckin.
Actually, true.
Luckin.
Like big coffee brand kind of place that stuffs AI. Remember Flash Coffee and all that whole system and all.
I mean, even Hugs is great.
Yeah. Hugs also local brand.
Also local brand.
Yeah.
And like just I think just holding on to that is always nice But yeah, Toastbox.
Maybe it's just the PR side of things that they could have done better
Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, speaking of things that people could have done better, what is your one show comment?
Do you have a one show comment?
I just need some time to pull it up. Mine was on YouTube. Actually, I have essentially, it's the comment that we were talking about earlier. I think it's nice to just highlight it as a actual comment that is out there. Basically, somebody last podcast we were talking about whether parental leave is good for business, right?
Yeah.
And one of the immediate top comments, was that from Lily Chua 7866 saying you give more parental leave to men, they will do the kind of activities that Harish just did with his pals, or they will be playing computer games, or they will be out with friends. Last on the priority will be the children. Giving the leave to mothers is a whole different thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just off that as well, there were a bunch of replies where people called out this commenter saying, "Hey, this is so sexist. Not sure what kind of men you are surrounding yourself with, but to come out with this conclusion. Most of the instances of men I see around are responsible fathers doing their part to raise their children. They clean, feed, and take care of their children. Some even cook confinement meals for their wives." So this is Lala Healer. Yeah. So interesting debate, right? I thought that even perceptions of men. Perceptions of fathers. I also disagree with the original comment. I disagree with the original commenter that I see a lot of more active fathers these days, and I don't think that just giving us more leave means that we will go and do what you did, go to the boys and things like that.
Hey, a lot of conversations with the boys, Terence, was about what it means to become a father. Because all of them was quite a few of them have fathers, fathers also. So there was a lot of stuff like that, deep down personal stuff that's going to hopefully make me a better father.
I see.
So even that comment, right, I take issue with it because you're assuming that we're just up to some nefarious shit. Where no, you're doing wholesome stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I even posted a photo of you doing a wholesome activity in Bali on our Instagram.
Or getting off
page.
like a canoe or something.
Yeah. So you go to our Instagram. There's a photo evidence that Harish was like doing wholesome stuff in Bali.
Yeah, not just getting drunk and all.
It's just one photo, a curated photo that I had to request from Harish.
Yeah, we did the photo shoot on the first day for all the stuff to send to our partners, But I mean, like my one show comment is actually on Reddit, on the same episode. But I mean, it's from Nightcat, who has posted quite a few times before. So I mean, they just shared their thoughts on the parental leave and like what the Mark Lee from the Business Association said. But I found the last part quite interesting. They say, as for the chopping of the queue for the rescue food, this was the topic of people using pebbles and plastic bags, right? Apparently, this person used to volunteer for food rescue to bring food to those community fridges. And at least from their experience, the people who collect these items typically are lower income with blue-collar jobs or aunties who have to take care of their families. And they're also regulars. So what they were trying to say is that for these people, they might have no choice but to put something to book their queue spot because they have either dependents at home to take care of, household chores, and basically they don't have free time. So it might be something that they don't even have a choice to do. And also the fact that some of them might be elderly, and there's no place to sit there. So that was one angle that, and this is from someone who has apparently volunteered for these food rescue things, which I thought, okay, that's interesting. Then maybe there needs to be a better system for distribution.
So, it's not that we're being judgmental assholes. It's just that the system is maybe not so clear.
Blame the system, man. It's always the system. So, I mean, an interesting perspective. And what about your one show thing, man?
Yes, my one show thing is actually a video of the actor Colin Farrell, who did an interview with, I think, Good Morning America recently. And because he started a new Colin Farrell Foundation that helps people with a rare genetic neurological disorder. So this is quite interesting because Colin Farrell actually in the interview he gets very he talks very honestly about life with his own son, his 20-year-old son James, who has this what we call Angelman syndrome, and it's a rare genetic neurological disorder that I think in some ways makes it hard for the people with Angelman syndrome to do the regular stuff that people do. So I encourage people to watch the video because Colin Farrell is essentially I think he's always been quite private about his family, and now he's coming forward with this foundation because his idea is he wants the world to be kind to his son even beyond him even when he's not around.
Colin Farrell is who used to be the bad boy of.
Yeah. So he was the penguin in Batman and all in the recent Batman and all this.
Yes.
So he's always seen as a bad boy, but now this video was about him as a dad and how he really he sees that he wants his son to have a life beyond 21 years old, right? Because a lot of times, I think for a lot of children with these genetic disorders and all, there's a lot of support and all that for them up to the point that they become adults or they hit the age of adulthood. Then after that, there's actually, I'm sure there's still support, but it isn't so institutional in the sense that they're sort of left to fend for themselves in the open world, which can be quite a cruel place. So I think his foundation is to provide a place for even adults, so-called adults with this neurological disorders, to have some place for them to interact with people, socialize, and also possibly have job opportunities and things.
Shit!
So
cool, man.
Shout out to Colin Farrell. I mean, it's very sweet moments of him with his son in the video as well. So I encourage people to check it out.
That is cool. That's his older son. He has two sons, right?
I'm not sure, but his son is now 20 years old. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, special needs. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's sweet. Cool. Mine is something less sweet, but it's something that people listening may have seen on social media already or heard, because it's a rap song by an Indian rapper, and it's not Young Raja.
It's not Young Raja.
You haven't heard it, is it? The song is called Big Dogs by Hanuman Kind.
No, I never heard it.
You know Hanuman, the monkey god, right?
No.
So Hanuman is the monkey god in
Okay.
Hinduism.
Okay.
So his rap name is Hanuman Kind, like Hanuman Kind.
Yes.
Yeah. So I first heard it on TikTok, and then I went to watch the video. I think within 1 month, it's got like 80 million views already.
Okay.
So this guy is a rapper. His real name is Suraj Cherukat.
He's based in Singapore.
No, India.
Oh, India. Okay.
Yeah, so he grew up in Kerala. He was born in Kerala, but he spent a lot of his time in Houston because his dad was working for an oil company.
Mm.
And then in 2012, he returned back to India. So he's been doing rapping. He released his debut EP in 2019.
Mm.
But this video, do you remember when, what's the Rich Brian's first song? Take That, is it? Or something,
Rich Brian.
The Rich Chigga lah. Remember?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. What was the That Stick?
That Stick. Yeah.
You know when That Stick came out and like it took the rap world by storm.
Yeah.
And a lot of rappers were commenting and all. Like these Big Dogs, right? Is almost like that lah. And you watch the video, the visual is damn cool because it was performed in a. Have you heard of this thing called a Well of Death, which is it's known as a motodrome or a velodrome. Basically vertical walls where cars and bikes all go round and they use centrifugal force to go.
Yeah.
So the video was shot there. He's in the middle and he's damn cool. And the song is also quite like you wouldn't imagine that this guy comes from Kerala. So he's blown up. He's huge on TikTok.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey shit, this is kind of cool, man. The video's pretty cool.
Hanuman
Kind. Big Dogs. Yeah, so 80 million views in one month.
Nice.
So he's blowing up, man.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was my one shook thing. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was it for today.
Yeah.
And we will carry on the grind. We'll be back end of the week. And remember, if you haven't subscribed or followed us on social media, do that right now.
Yeah.
And tell at least one person who may not have heard of us about us.
Yeah. So do it so you can see the photo of Harish on his baby moon as well.
Oh, yeah, that's
on
true. That's
Instagram.
true.
Yeah.
And
if you want to work with us, do check out ministryoffunny.com.